Welcome to the Photo Banter podcast. I'm your host, Alex Gagne, and on today's podcast, I welcome photographer Sandra Cattaneo Adorno. Sandra just released a new book with Radius Books titled Augusto Aru, where Sandra traveled back to Brazil, where she grew up. And this whole project is photographing the beaches that she went to as a child. Really amazing black and white landscapes, and there's pictures of the people on the beach. So in this interview, I kind of talked to her about her process of putting this book together, as well as how she got into photography. Sandra didn't get into photography till she was in her 60s, so it kind of came to her later in life. But she's now just kind of find this new passion and has gone on to publish books and do photo exhibitions and much, much more. So I was really excited to speak with her, and I hope you enjoy. And thanks so much for listening. Awesome. Well, now welcome on Sandra Cattaneo Adorno. Excited to talk to you, Sandra. You have a brand new book out titled Augusto Oro, if I'm butchering that pronunciation.
It's golden waters.
All right. What does it mean?
Águas de Ouro is golden waters.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I was excited to talk to you. It's a really amazing book. And for anybody listening, if they want to purchase a book now, where's the best place for them to pick up a copy?
Radius Books or Amazon.
Perfect. And if anybody listening, I'm going to be raffling off this copy. You can go to my Instagram. This is the Photo Banter. I'm going to be giving away this copy. All you got to do is leave a comment, and we'll be giving that away. But excited to talk to you, Sandra. I guess to start off this project, I was kind of curious, like, when did you kind of start shooting these photos, and what was kind of the whole project about for you?
I lived in Brazil when I was small, as a child, and then I left when I was around at the end of 12 years old. So beginning of 13, I left Brazil. And so Brazil always stayed in my mind. So I wanted to revisit, the places I went as a child. And that's the place we spent a lot of time, was there in this Ipanema beach. Mm-hmm. So it was very interesting because it's a different beach than it was before. Before it was much less people, it was there was much less sand, much narrower, and very different also. And nowadays it's crowded, full of people, much more activities, much more lively, really, and more fun, I would say, than before. But it was an interesting thing to go back and see it again as an adult. So it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing that a lot.
So was that your first time visiting back in Brazil since you were a kid?
No. I lived afterwards in Brazil. When I was just married, I also lived in Brazil. And then I left again. I left at that age. Then I came back for 2 years for beginning of university. Then I left because I went to university in the States. And then from the States, I went to live in Argentina, Paraguay. And then when I married, I went to live in Brazil again. But then I left because we lived in London for many years.
Wow, you've been everywhere, Sandra. It sounds like looking at your website, you travel a lot. It seems like you can't sit still. You want to keep
exactly. I can't sit still, and it has been since I was a child. It's the same. I'm always going here and there the whole time. I never stay for very long in a place.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I guess when you started photographing these photos for this book, did you spend a lot of time working on this project, or is it just like a few trips, or like what was kind of the process of like?
It was a few trips that I went and I took pictures, and I went like twice a year to Brazil. So I took pictures and left them there. And in the meantime, I was doing other things, other types of pictures. And then I had enough pictures that I said, okay, this is the moment. Now I can go.
And what was kind of the process of like editing this book? Because I know, a lot of photographers, that's like one of the hardest thing. Like you go out there, you shoot thousands of pictures, and then you got to go back home and you got to edit it. And like, what was kind of your process of like putting this book together?
Oh, it's I agree. It's very difficult to edit, very difficult. I think sometimes because the photo was very difficult for you to take it, you like it more, but it's not particularly a good photo. But it was such an effort that you want to put it in. Mm-hmm. It is difficult. I think that you need to let it rest a while and revisit your editing. That's the only way I can eliminate, for it not to be attached emotionally. So there's a first edit, then I let it go, then I go back in 3 months, see it again and see it again. And I think that if you are able in a book to just put all the pictures that you think are the best ones on a board and then just look at it every day, then you can eliminate maybe, because you say, okay, this one really I don't want. But it takes time. I think it's something that takes time for you to choose.
Definitely. And are you someone with the editing process that you kind of do it solo, or will you get advice from fellow photographers? Because I know in the back of the book in the acknowledgments, you had to acknowledge Alex and Rebecca Webb.
Yeah, I first do it by myself. And then I have someone, that Andrea, who helps me in a second revision. And then when I'm more ready, I ask the Webbs if they can look at it because I send them a list with like 80 pictures and a B list like with 40 pictures for them to check if it's more or less coherent what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And they help me also with the sequence. Mm. But then when I go to my editor, he changes things also because he has another focus. His focus is about the paper, how this one goes with, it's another editing. So it's difficult because, so he has the last say.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that happened with this book, because it's only in one beach. What we wanted to do for it not to be too repetitive. Mm-hmm. The idea of the editor was to do this different inks. So with this, it's the same theme, it's the same beach, but at least with you going with different inks, it breaks a little bit the flow of the story. So it has gold ink or silver, or the blue in the middle is blue.
Yeah, that was the interesting thing about it. Like anybody picks this up, the cover, it's like something I've never seen before, because like it's a photograph, but the cover almost looks like an illustration or a painting, because it has this really amazing gold. So yeah, that's what I was interested. So the gold is something they did in printing. It's not so much of a thing that was done in like Photoshop or post. Really, it was this kind of print.
Yeah. It's what they did, and it was, my editor said, look, I've never done it. I have no idea if it's going to work.
Yeah.
But you have to have faith, and we have to go with it. And that's when we got there to Verona. I printed it in Verona. We tried it out, but until the end, we didn't know if the gold would be too gold, and then it's not nice because it's too. We didn't know. I mean, we tried to do proofs before, but it wasn't, we didn't have the machinery to do it. So I didn't know. Mm. So it was interesting because until the end, my heart was beating.
Yeah, definitely. Because as a photographer, like everyone has their process, and then kind of stepping out of your normal process and trying something new. You want it to be good. So it's
exactly.
No, that is exciting though. You actually took a chance, and it came out amazing. Like I said,
thank you very much.
The thing that it struck me about the book, it seems with your work, a lot of what you shoot, it looks like you're chasing the light. It's not so much the subject isn't so much the focus. There is people, but for me, like the star of the book is the light. Would you say
I agree. It's the light.
Yeah.
It's my Brazilian part. My Brazilian part, as I was born in Brazil, the light is very important. And it's important not only this book, but everything I shoot, the light and bright light, it's very important for me.
And when you're going out and photographing the beach, like when you're just going out there and do you have like a plan, like each day, like I'm going to go to this section of the beach and try to capture this? Or is it really just kind of spur of the moment and just kind of wandering around and see what kind of comes to you?
Of the moment.
Yeah.
But there was someone that I had the class with. He said that I should go out with an objective, but I could never do it until today. I can't do it. I know that maybe that would be the best way to do, but I can't. I just want to. It's because I think when I go out to take pictures, I want to be in a, I don't know, in a bubble, and I just don't want to have a rational part. I just want to go where it takes me.
Yeah.
So that's why I could never do it rationally. Even if maybe it's not so productive. If I was more rational, maybe it would be more productive, but I can't do it.
No, I think it's smart. Like, I don't think it's like, it's hard. You can't force like the art. Like you can't, like you can go out with the plan, but like, I'm sure maybe I'm wrong. Like some days, maybe you came back and you didn't get photos that you liked. Like,
many days.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Many days. And many days you throw away so many, I mean, that are not good. Yes, it happens always. I mean, always. Thank God we're in the digital era and we can afford to throw them away now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I wasn't sure. Like, I know a lot of people like hearing about the technical stuff in terms of like equipment. What kind of stuff are you shooting this book on, I guess, in terms of cameras and lenses, I guess?
I shoot with a Nikon D750 and I have a zoom, and I'm very not technical because I learned to photograph much later in life. When I was 60, I'm very bad technically. So the only thing going for me is my eye. So I go where my eye takes me. Sometimes it's horrible, out of focus or whatever. Doesn't matter. There's another one that is good. So it's okay.
That's amazing to hear. You picked up a camera at age 60. Like how did that kind of come about? Like, how did you kind of first pick up the camera?
It's my daughter. She went to college in the States. She was at university in the States, and her minor was photography. And it was my birthday, and she wanted to spend it with me, but at the same time, she wanted to do a workshop with Alex and Rebecca Webb.
Wow.
So she invited me to a workshop in photography, and I had no idea how and what. I never had a camera in my life. I had the small, those Sony.
Yeah, little point and shoot things.
Yeah, that little thing. So my husband had a 10-year-old camera. He said, okay, get this, because I don't have anything. No, I'm not going to buy a camera for workshop that I'll never do anything again. And that's how it happened. And I obviously was the worst person in my class. And I had the luck to have these two amazing teachers who had enormous patience with someone who had no idea what she was doing and had never photographed before. And they still encouraged me, and they still had the patience of looking at my pictures. Obviously, not only I didn't know how to shoot, I didn't know how to edit, and I didn't know how to pass it to the USB that they wanted next day. That my daughter did. The rest, the computer stuff, my daughter did, because I was incapable, obviously. I had no idea. So everything was really bad. I mean, I was really the worst in the class, but by far. And even so, they still were kind with me, and they didn't say, you're really bad, go and do something. No, they still said, no, try. And also, I have to give credit to my daughter, who never made fun of me. If she had made fun of me, I think I would have closed and I would have gone home. And I had a lot of fun because it was my 60th birthday. I was with my daughter. And I was, seeing something different for the first time. And I noticed for the first time, I had never, until 6 years old, I've always noticed nature around me because of Brazil, the forest, the plants are enormous, and nature I was capable of paying attention to, but not people around me. I went here, I went there, I went back and forth. But this was the first time, I would say, until 60 years old, that I really stopped and I looked at people, really looked at people, looked what they were doing, the expressions in the streets, how they move. I had never done it before.
Yeah.
It was so amazing. And it was so much fun.
Yeah, you don't realize it. Like, I think that's the cool thing about photography. It makes you stop and see what's around you. Like, you can drive down like the street and wherever you live, like, and you live there for decades or whatever. And there's so much stuff that you just kind of pass by in your day-to-day kind of busyness,
And you don't know, if you're not a photographer, it's very difficult for you to know. You have objectives of getting this, getting a coffee, going to the bank, and so many times you're on this little thing. So you're oblivious. It was so funny because for the first time I noticed these things around them, sounds around me and everything. It was really amazing. So that's why I think I liked it. Because I could get out of this bubble of my life and go into another place that I have never seen.
Yeah, that's the coolest thing about photography. It gives you a reason just to explore and this like knock on doors and this walk down this alley or whatever street and see what's down there. And you never know, there's a cool picture. And I guess with that workshop with like Alex and Rebecca Webb, like Alex Webb, obviously legendary Magnum photographer, like incredible color work he does. Like, what did you kind of take away from that workshop? And like when you left that workshop, was that this kind of opened up the doors for you? This kind of
that's what opened up the doors for me.
Yeah,
it really did.
Yeah,
because it was another world that I never thought I would be able to take photography. I never thought of photography. I never knew any photographer.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't aware of photographers. I mean, I was aware of painters, museums, galleries, sculpture. Yes, not photographers. It wasn't part of my life.
Yeah.
So it was, I think, one of the things that I became aware, and it was very interesting, is that how we have things that maybe we can do, some better, some worse, but we have no idea that we could do them.
Mm-hmm.
And we can die without knowing. If my daughter hadn't invited me, I would never found out that I could take a picture.
Yeah, I think that's the thing I really respect about it, is like picking up a camera, like when you're in your 60s or whenever, is like there's so many people, like even like I'm in my 30s and I have friends who are like, oh, I'm too old to try that. I'm like, no, you're still alive. Like you're not too old until you're in the ground, like in my mind. And that's like the thing that's inspiring.
I think what happens is when you get older, you become more critical,
mm-hmm.
and you need to do, it's as if you have to do pictures, the best picture in 2 seconds. I mean, 6 months you're a photographer. No, you're not. You do horrible pictures, and you have to accept that, and there's no problem with that. And nowadays, when I went afterwards to other workshops, what I noticed was that I was the calmer and the happiest one of them all, because younger photographers that were in the workshops that I went, many were very anxious. They needed to do it right and the best. And I was, whatever, it's a gift.
Yeah, they want.
Yeah,
they want to be in the gallery. They want to be in the book, which is great to have those goals. But I think you have to remember, like, oh, you need to focus on the craft first, and then you can get to those points of like all that stuff is like ancillary in my mind.
Yeah, and I think also you have to have fun doing it.
Yeah,
You have to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Come back home smiling. Okay, it was a great day. Or I have one picture that I think it's going to be good, and smile, be happy about it. I think that the joy of photography for me is it's so wonderful for me nowadays. I have so much joy of going out and coming back with this enthusiasm. It's as if I went back to my childhood, It's as if I'm going out in a treasure hunt and finding something and coming back. Woo! I got this.
Yeah, and being that you're only like 8 years into it, like it's all still so new. Like, I mean, I've been taking pictures for like 20 years now. I mean, I took my first class when I was like in middle school. I took like darkroom classes. So 8 years in, I'm sure you're still in that phase of where it's just you're still learning, I would imagine, and it's all exciting and trying new stuff. Be it like we talked about the new paper, or like trying some new effect or whatever. So it's like
exactly, always experimenting new stuff and noticing new stuff. That's what I don't want to lose.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose that. I'm working on my third book now that is going to be very different than that. But it's a completely different book, and I want to continue. And then I want not to stop observing and being able to capture something new.
Yeah. And one thing photographers, it's like trying to like find your voice as a photographer, like your style or aesthetic or what you're trying to say. Did it kind of take you a while to kind of find your voice as a photographer? Is it something you're still searching for? Like, how do you kind of view this kind of your approach to photography, I guess?
Yes, I think I'm still searching for it. I always try, for some reason, to depict things. Because let us say I have a friend, a photographer also, and she came out with a book at the same time that her portrait of Brazil was so sad, and it's reality. It's that it's not, it's really reality. My portrait of Brazil is always happy. It's happy people. They're always happy on the beach playing, kids.
Yeah.
For some reason, I like to see the happy place everywhere I go. For me, it's more difficult to deal with the unhappiness and the loneliness and those things. I think I'll get there, maybe, but not until now. Until now, I know that I'm looking for realities, but even if Brazil is a very difficult reality, the beach, you see bad things happening even in the beach.
Yeah.
But I don't want to look at those. I want to look at how everyone is having fun.
Yeah, it's not that you're ignoring it, it's there. I mean, I would almost kind of view it like just hearing you talk about it, it's almost kind of like a hopeful thing. It's like
exactly.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's that. As a Brazilian, that's what I think I need, is always to have hope that it will get better.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I don't want to think about the sad until now. Maybe later on in life I'll get something. But as you said, I'm still finding my voice.
Yeah, me too. And I know someone else you mentioned in the acknowledgments was someone by the name of David Chicky. I was kind of curious what was kind of his role in the book and what did he
He's the publisher.
Okay.
And he's the one who came out with the idea of the pages in this different metallic inks of different colors.
Mm. And
so he was really important. He's very, very good, very, very intelligent person, very good at his craft.
Nice. And like, how did that, because like for photographers listening who might be interested in publishing a book or their own someday, like how did that kind of partnership come about for you, like finding a publisher and publishing a book? Like how did that kind of process work?
I went to to a workshop with the webs also, a second in Santa Fe, in this publisher's office, because it was a bookshop concentrated on editing books. How do you do a book? What do you have to pay attention to? So it was a workshop not about the pictures, but how you should. And it was in this Radius Books inside there. And I went also with my daughter. It was in the beginning. It was the second year that I was. And obviously my daughter was very interested. And then David came to me and said, I know you're not taking it seriously. It's a hobby. But I saw your pictures and you should take it seriously. I know you're here because of your daughter, but you should begin to take it seriously. So when I wanted to do a book, I went to him. I said, look, now I'm taking it seriously. Now, do you want to publish my book? So he said, yeah, well, it has to go to the board. So the board approved, and that's how it went. I had another company who offered to do my book, a large company, but I preferred to go with David that I knew, and it's a smaller thing, and I'm very happy that I went with him.
Yeah, no, Radius, they do some really great books. And another book, I think you were part of it, was the Women Street Photographers book that came out this year, that Galnera put on.
Yeah.
That was an amazing book. I'd highly recommend anybody picking up.
Amazing book, beautiful book. Yes, I'm very fortunate that I have a picture inside that book.
Yeah, that was this. It was just, for me, like, that book was just so exciting to see, because it was like street photography, but it gave you you got to see all around the world. Like, it was like photographers in America and then people in Europe, and it was this kind of everyone's different perspective, but it was amazing book.
Amazing book, very, very nice book. It was really, Gulnara does a wonderful job, and I was with her recently in Paris because I was part of an exhibition.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, as you said, wonderful, because I met people, an Argentinian, one of Peru, another one of Asia. It was amazing. Oh, and very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah. And one series of pictures I was excited to talk to you about, I really enjoyed. You did a series of photos on firefighters. I was kind of curious, like, where did you kind of take those photos, and what that project was all about for you?
I have a house in California.
Yeah.
And there was a fire just outside the gate. And so obviously I went to the gate very worried about the fire that would hit my house.
Yeah.
And then I got so enthusiastic about the firefighters, and obviously that they were already, the fire wasn't burned. It was already contained. If not, I couldn't get near. But these pictures, took most of these pictures by the, how do you say, the rear, in the car, the...
Oh yeah, the window up top, like the... I know you're talking. Yeah.
That mirror there, what you see behind.
Oh, okay. So, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the rear view mirror.
Exactly. That one. That's most of these pictures are done from there, because they didn't like me shooting at them.
Okay.
Because I was with my car, and so I stopped. I opened the window, I shot, but then when they were back there, I could shoot more, so I...
Wow, that's incredible, because the pictures, to me, I almost wasn't sure, some of them look like
this,
double,
double,
this almost looks like a double exposure or something.
No, it's or it's that mirror, or that one on the side.
Yeah.
I think this one is on the side.
Okay.
The side mirror, and this one is on the... They couldn't understand what I was doing. And they went to the gate and asked the guy at the gate, said, "Who's the crazy woman?" And then I printed, what was nice is that I printed large pictures, these, and I gave to them, and they are in the firefighters place there.
Station, yeah. Wow,
in
that's
the,
amazing.
in the station, and they were, because then they recognize it. Oh, this is me, this is me. And I got someone who was an ex-firefighter who knew some of these people, so he could recognize some of them, and he wrote, this is I don't know whom, I don't know whom. So we knew what was the firefighter station to send it to.
Yeah. No, I loved it because I mean, that's just great hearing that story, because a lot of photographers would have probably just like packed up and went home, but you're like, you found a unique way to like not bother them, but still got the pictures. And it almost, the pictures are really interesting because there's like almost like a blurriness to some of them, which almost is actually lends itself to the fire, and this all like the almost like the heat and stuff kind of comes through the pictures.
It's like they're all blurry, or it's because of the mirrors that do those effects.
Yeah.
It wasn't me. I mean, I did what I could. I couldn't do it. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't understand that I was shooting them that way. So I stopped. They couldn't understand what I was doing.
Yeah. And being someone that you're this kind of out in the world, this kind of on the streets or the beach or wherever you're at, this kind of photographing people and documenting, is that something you run into a lot of times? Like people kind of don't like you taking pictures of them, or like how do you kind of deal with like people and approaching them? Is it something you've always been comfortable at, or?
Alex, I think that, if someone doesn't like me taking pictures, I just tell him. I was in Iceland now, and I did take a picture of a guard inside the museum, and he didn't like it. Mm-hmm. He came to me, and I said, okay, come here. You see these pictures, I'll delete your pictures. There will be another one. There will be in 2 seconds, there's another one.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't make a fuss about it. I just calm them down and say, look, I'll delete it. It's fine. Some people love it. Some people don't notice it. It's amazing. Sometimes I'm with my camera has a 300 zoom. I mean, I'm on top of the person. Some people don't notice.
Yeah.
So there's everything. And some think that I'm a very important person that will make them a star in Hollywood. So they say, oh, from where are you? Are you going to put me in the next movie? No, I'm not important.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things you just have to get used to. Like, sometimes as a photographer, there can be uncomfortable moments, but it's just like rolling with those punches and it's kind of doing your thing to keep making pictures, and you just have to get used to it. But overall,
exactly. And there's no offense. I mean, if someone doesn't like it, just delete it. You'll get another picture in 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't make a big deal about it.
No, definitely. And also kind of looking at your work, it seems like travel is a big part of your life. Like the travel section, you've been everywhere from like Cuba to China, India. Like what have been some of your favorite places to travel to, and like what is it about travel that you enjoy most, you think?
Favorite places, I like everywhere I went. I don't have favorite because each one has something different and very different to offer. I love traveling because I love to see how other people think, eat, talk, manners. I love that. I love it. I really do enjoy being a second inside the head of a Japanese beautiful lady with a kimono and the beautiful gestures and just 1 second just to think like her. I think it's wonderful because it's another life, and you learn so much. I think it's each culture gives you, it's an enormous variety of how people think, and I love that, and I hope I'll continue to travel always.
Well, is there any place you haven't been yet that's been kind of on your list that you want to get to? Anything kind of on your bucket list, that place you want to go, you think?
Yeah, there's Tahiti. I haven't been to. I would love to go to Tahiti.
Oh yeah, that sounds interesting. um, but Sandra, I guess to wrap up, like what's next for you? Obviously, this book, definitely I'll post it and people should definitely go pick up a
So
copy. It's
much.
an
Alex.
amazing book. But what's next for you? Anything you're working on right now, this photographically?
Yes, I'm doing my third book, and it's about more reflections, completely different stuff. Because, with COVID, it was very difficult to see people in the streets. So with reflections, it was easier to get pictures. So it's about that. And I think I'll publish it next year, around March, something like that, March, April, something like that.
Awesome. Well, Sandra, it was a pleasure talking to you. I
Thank you
appreciate
so much.
your excitement for photography. It comes through. I really appreciate it, and yeah, I can't thank you enough.
Thank you very much. I'm very grateful to photography. It was an amazing gift that I got
Yeah.
without expecting it. So it's really nice to have that. I was very fortunate.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Well, thanks so much, Sandra, and
Thank you, Alex, very much for
take care.
interviewing me. Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
So there you have it. That was the Sandra Cattaneo Adorno interview. I can't thank Sandra enough. It was a real pleasure talking to her about her new book, which is available by Radius Books. You can go to Sandra's website or her Instagram. I'll put the link in the description. You can go order a copy of the book, and I'm also giving away a copy of the book on the Photo Banter Instagram page. So definitely just go leave a comment, and I'll be giving that book away in the next week or so. But yeah, I can't thank Sandra enough. It was a real pleasure talking to her about her journey with photography. It's really exciting to hear someone who just kind of got into it later in life and just found this new passion. So can't thank her enough. But yeah, as always, I'll be having weekly podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, as well as the Photo Banter YouTube page. So thanks so much for listening. Take care.